What's up, dudes? Max here with the latest big update for Mortal Kombat X. We got a lot of information over the past week, and I wanted to break a couple of characters down, as well as go over some of the new stuff that's popped up over the past 24 hours, including the Mortal Kombat Collector's Edition, which has finally been announced. And for the US, we get a very interesting sculpture of Scorpion, a redesigned version, if you will. This is also kind of similar to what they did with Jim Lee for Scorpion and Injustice, where he had his own take on the character, and this unique art studio has their own creative take on the character as well. But the funny thing is that the UK version of MKX's Collector's Edition like this is going to have regular basic Scorpion, a highly detailed model. What's even more interesting is that this golden Scorpion not only is represented through this statue that you get when you get the Collector's Edition, it's also represented through a skin that you get in-game, so even though it's pretty expensive, you can actually get the character in-game as well, and you get this golden version of Scorpion that fights within the actual title, similar to the statue, which I think is kinda cool. Now, the other special editions is most likely where I'm going to be diving in, because they have this thing that's included with them called the Combat Pack. And the Combat Pack specifically includes 4 fighters who we don't know who they are yet, who is going to be a mix of older combatants and guest characters. So, that whole thing we've been talking about guest characters before, it's still going to be happening, and they're actually going to be included in this Combat Pack. I don't know if we can consider this really like a season pass, but it kind of does sound like that. And the Combat Pack you can get either digitally or through the limited edition, and the digital Combat Pack is $90, that's right, $89.99. And then the MKX Limited Edition is $94.99, but that includes everything we saw before, the game, the Combat Pack, but a Scorpion skin that's designed by some of the folks at mkcollective.com, who has submitted a lot of fan artwork, and they like this specific Cold War version of Scorpion, which is pretty cool. But at the same time, that's a $30 like expansion, kind of like season pass for 4 characters, so we still don't know which characters are going to be involved. I'm sure we'll get a lot more detail about that down the line. I'm not too sure if they're going to piecemeal it like Injustice, where they did that specifically before, where we did not know which characters were coming along. So we're going to have to wait to find out, but I do hope that it's like Injustice. Now, moving along, that's all the stuff that's finally been announced about the Collector's Editions of the game. We get a pretty good other example of how many characters are coming afterwards, but let's talk about the number one character, in my opinion, right now in this entire roster that I want to play as, and it's ERMAC. So ERMAC, as we can tell, and as you can tell from my reaction video, has a somewhat very unique design than all of his other designs. Usually ERMAC is hidden behind a mask of some kind. He is originated from the error macro joke that was from back in the old MK, and he was the original Red Ninja, which is why I love the crap out of ERMAC. But he's always been a sorcerer, and he definitely is that now. He's definitely taken a huge turn in terms of how his story goes, and it seems that he's absorbed the soul of, like, Shao Kahn. Somehow through all those introduction story bits, we can kind of pick up on something like that. But overall, his design does look really cool. He looks like a Star Wars bad guy, like a lot of face paint, a lot of stuff covering his entire face, which some bad guys like, you know, Darth Maul kind of had back in the Star Wars days, so I think it looks very awesome. Although I do, of course, hope that he's got some classic Red Ninja look. And to be honest, I personally love the look of the ninjas from Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 or the MK3 version, so, man, please, guys, give us something like that in the future. But overall, let's talk about a bit of what's going on with his gameplay and his variations. The 3 to choose from on ERMAC are going to be Mystic, Spectral, and Master of Souls. In Master of Souls, you'll see that there's these 3 hovering orbs that are kind of around ERMAC, and when ERMAC throws out some of his fireballs, these souls will be removed, but they can be replenished over time. But within this variation, if you hit somebody with that fireball, they go to an extended stun state. The catch is that you need to have all 3 souls to have the stun state actually activate, so it's a pretty unique trait just for this variation. Master of Souls also allows ERMAC to kind of teleport in and out of existence, where his entire body vanishes, as well as any opportunity for you to actually take damage. You can't use this move too much, but you can use it to avoid projectiles from full screen, and you can attack out of it if you're doing it in the air. And the Mystic variation is going to enhance almost all of ERMAC's telekinetic attacks. You'll notice how he has these force push type moves, these moves where he doesn't actually have to be close to you, hits you from like full screen or a big screen distance, where he can actually slap you around. But when you're in Mystic, you get additional bonuses and extra damage as a result of it, so instead of just like slapping you back, he slaps you back and puts you into the ground. He might hit you with one attack that normally knocked you down before, but this time can put you up for an extended juggle combo situation. It doesn't seem like a lot, but that is indeed it for the Mystic variation, but if you think about it, when you give the character a lot more opportunities to combo and get extended damage as a result, this is more similar to what you kind of remember from the ERMAC from previous games, where you can really set up the opponent as a result of these levitation moves and putting you in a situation where you can't get out of it. And lastly is the Spectral variation, and this one is going to change kind of how ERMAC plays completely, mostly because you get the ability to fly around. No, it does not make ERMAC an air dashing character. You can't immediately jump up and start dashing everywhere or anything like that, but you do get the ability to hover, move around, and cancel out of special moves from the air or select specials that only work while in hover. The other cool thing is that you bounce off certain stage-like interactable items while in this hover state in this variation, so there's going to be a lot of differences between all these different variations, and just like every single character we've done a breakdown before, it does feel that you get a really unique type of game plan for each one, and right now it's kind of hard to say which one's going to be the least effective or the most effective. In some of the situations before, I'm like, oh, that's definitely the one I'm using. But between the Master of Souls and the Mystic version, I really do like the ability to get your opponent in extra stun states to allow you to do more damage and more combos. I'm kind of obsessed in fighting games with doing the most damage you possibly can. So with that in mind, the Mystic ability lets you kind of use your force powers to push them around to get extra damage as a result of that, or put them up in levitatable states where you can do more combo damage as a result of jumping attacks. And the Master of Souls version lets you use all of his fireballs in a way where those do extended hits of stun state that let you get into extra combos that you normally would never be able to as a result of using his fireballs. So either one of those I'm looking forward to the most, even though right now the one that heavily changes him, I think, more than ERMAC's ever kind of been before is the flight mode in the Spectral version. So if you get used to that, you're probably going to come up with some really creative setups and stuff, but I do think the other ones are going to be a little bit more popular because they're kind of easier to approach. But in general, I think ERMAC looks fantastic. I really, once again, I have to reiterate, I love the fact that he's not this crazy super buff dude. He's kind of a really lean guy. He floats around, kind of looks like Black Adam. Has some moves that are kind of similar to Raven in Injustice as well. My apologies for using comparisons to Injustice. It was the last game they made, and it was the last really big NetherRealm game I really enjoyed. But it's neat to see that he's kind of this skinny dude, but he's not extremely buffed out like everyone else because he uses magic. He uses the magic he has to do heavy damage against you instead of beefy attacks. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what you can really come up with extended combo strings, especially as a result of those two variations we were talking about. So I'd say ERMAC, in my opinion, gets an 8 out of 10 or so. I'm really looking forward to playing this character probably more than anyone else on the roster right now. But the other thing I'm really concerned about is something we'll talk about in a future video, that some characters in the MKX roster have been revealed to have not the original costume on when they have their trailers. That's actually alternate costumes on select characters, and there's a few that I'm hoping that we're seeing the alternate costume for, and I think ERMAC might be one of them, but we will find out. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching, but stay tuned. We got more MKX coverage coming along very soon. We're going to see more gameplay coming from Reptile down the line, as well as probably some more character trailers, because we're getting very close, and there was a lot over the past week. Once again, I appreciate the support, folks. If you liked the video, a thumbs up would be awesome, and we'll be back with more MKX video news coverage as soon as possible. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you next time.